Noni and vaginal infections. Somewhere in Nigeria, in the vibrant village of Akpugugizi, life was always bustling with activity. Traditional mud huts with thatched roofs dotted the landscape, and lush greenery surrounded the village like a protective embrace. The people of Akpugugizi were known for their rich culture, often seen in their colorful attire, hand-woven Kent clothes, and intricate beadwork that adorned their necks and wrists. The market was the heart of the village, filled with traders selling everything from fresh produce to beautifully crafted wooden artifacts. Please show some support by clicking the subscribe button, like, comment, and set a notification for the next video. YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Health Folklore. One sunny morning, after having some time-consuming and energy-sapping activity with her village champion husband, Noni woke up feeling not quite herself. As she went about her daily chores, she couldn't shake the uncomfortable sensation in her village. It was as if her nether regions were hosting a rave party, and she didn't remember sending out invitations. After a day of squirming and discomfort, Noni decided it was time to seek help. She approached Nurse Amarachi, a pretty village nurse, at the health center, her face a mixture of embarrassment and concern. Nurse Amarachi, Noni began, shifting from foot to foot. I've been feeling uncomfortable down there, in my VJ. It's itchy, and there's a weird smell. What's happening to me? Did I anger the river spirits or something? Have I offended the fish gods? Nurse Amarachi, ever patient and kind, smiled warmly. Oh, Noni, unless the river spirits have taken up residence in your underwear, I doubt they are to blame. It sounds like you might have a vaginal infection. Let's go see Dr. Nchebe, he can explain everything. And don't worry, he's heard it all. At the health center, Dr. Nchebe welcomed them with his usual cheerful demeanor. Oh, Noni. What brings you here today? He asked. Noni hesitated for a moment but then blurted out, Dr. Nchebe, something's wrong down there. It's itchy and there's a serious smell, like a rotten fish. I feel like I'm fermenting yam paste in my pants. Dr. Nchebe chuckled good-naturedly. Noni, you're not alone. Many women experience vaginal infections. It's more common than finding pebbles in Ghana jollof rice. Let's talk about the different types, so you understand what's going on. Dr. Nchebe began his explanation, using his storytelling skills to keep Noni engaged. First, we have bacterial vaginosis, or BV for short. It's like when the good and bad bacteria in your vagina throw a party, but the bad bacteria invite all their friends and it gets out of hand. The result? A thin, grayish-white discharge that smells like rotten fish, or should I say, like the first plague of Egypt, especially after, well, you know, adult activities. Noni giggled, despite her discomfort. That sounds like my problem, Dr. Nchebe. But why does it happen? An imbalance in your vaginal flora causes BV, Dr. Nchebe continued. Think of your vagina as a delicate ecosystem, like our village farm. Sometimes, the balance gets disrupted. Maybe you used harsh soaps, took antibiotics, or even just had sex. It affects about 1 in 3 women at some point in their lives. While it's not a sexually transmitted infection, sexual activity can upset the balance faster than a goat in a yam field. It affects about 20 to 30% of women of reproductive age and about 50 to 60% in high-risk populations such as those who practice commercial sex. The prevalence is also about 50% for sexually active black women. He added with a wink, and yes, it can make intimate moments less enjoyable. Nobody wants their partner thinking they've smuggled a fish market into the bedroom. If left untreated, BV can increase your risk of getting STIs and may cause problems during pregnancy. It's like leaving your farm unattended, pests will move in. Now, let's move on to yeast infections, another common culprit, Dr. Nchebe said, leaning in closer. His voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. A yeast infection happens when the Candida fungus decides to throw a party of its own. Imagine a cottage cheese explosion. That's what the discharge looks like, thick, white, and clumpy. It's also incredibly itchy. It's like having ants in your pants, but worse. Noni's eyes widened. Cottage cheese. Oh no. That sounds worse than when Auntie Adana's palm wine went bad. Yes, my dear, Dr. Nchebe laughed. It's not pleasant. Yeast infections affect 3 out of 4 women at some point. They can be treated with antifungal creams or oral medication. But remember, yeast loves sugar, so cutting back on sweets can help keep it at bay. As for sex, well, let's just say it can feel like you're making love to a sandpaper factory. Not recommended. Wait first, have you followed my handles at Health Folklore on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram? Please subscribe, like, and comment. Nurse Amarachi chimed in, and don't forget to wear breathable cotton underwear and avoid douching. Your vagina is like a self-cleaning oven, it doesn't need extra cleaning. Douching is like trying to clean your oven while it's still on, it just makes things worse. Dr. Nchebe nodded in agreement. Exactly, Amarachi. You're as wise as the old baobab tree. Now, let's talk about trichomoniasis, or trich for short. This one is caused by a little parasite called Trichomoniasis vaginalis. The discharge is frothy and greenish yellow, like a bad smoothie. It also comes with a strong, fishy odor. It's like your vagina decided to open its own fishmonger's shop. Noni scrunched up her face in disgust. That sounds horrible. Worse than when the village pond dried up and all the fish were left in the mud. It can be, Dr. Nchebe said. WHO estimates that in 2020, there were 156 million cases affecting people between 15 to 49 globally. This figure includes 73.7 million females and 82.6 million males. But the good news is that it's easily treated with a single dose of antibiotics for both you and your partner. Remember, Noni, it's always important to practice safe sex to prevent these infections. Trich is sexually transmitted, and it can increase the risk of getting or spreading other STIs, including HIV. In short, it is the most common curable STD. He added with a chuckle, and let me tell you, trying to have sex with trich is like trying to light a match in a hurricane, uncomfortable, frustrating, and potentially dangerous. Nurse Amarachi added, and pay attention to any unusual changes in your discharge. It can be a sign that something's not right. Clear to whitish discharge is normal, but if it starts looking like a rainbow of problems, gray, green, or cottage cheese, it's time to see the doctor. Your vagina shouldn't be more colorful than Dr. Nchebe's border. Noni laughed. A rainbow of problems. I remember that. But Dr. Nchebe, how can I prevent these infections? Dr. Nchebe smiled, pleased by Noni's question. Good thinking, Noni. Prevention is key. First, always wipe from front to back after using the toilet. It's like sweeping your compound, you don't want to bring the dirt from the back to the front. Also, avoid tight-fitting clothing and synthetic materials. Your vagina needs to breathe more than a fish out of water. He continued, eat a balanced diet rich in probiotics like our local yogurt. It's like feeding the good bacteria in your gut and vagina. And most importantly, practice safe sex. Use condoms and limit your number of sexual partners. I hope you saw my other video about condom use at Health Folklore on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And remember, your vagina isn't a community center, it doesn't need to welcome everyone. As they wrapped up their discussion, Dr. Nchebe shared some final words of wisdom. Noni, our bodies have ways of telling us when something's wrong. It's important to listen and seek help when needed. And don't be embarrassed. Vaginal infections are as common as potholes on our village road. Noni felt a wave of relief. Thank you, Dr. Nchebe and Nurse Amarachi. You've made me feel so much better. I'll make sure to take care of myself and come to you if I have any more problems. Dr. Nchebe smiled warmly. That's the spirit, Noni. And remember, the healthy body is a happy body. Now, go enjoy the Yam Festival and dance like there's no tomorrow. He chuckled, adding, just don't dance so hard you create your unique discharge, as he prescribed some medications for her. Later that night, Nurse Amarachi went to visit Dr. Nchebe. The doctor was surprised because Nurse Amarachi is a very spiritual person, always reading her Bible. But opportunity comes but once. When the doctor entered and came out, there was a rotten fishy odor everywhere. Now, before your evil mind wanders to places it shouldn't, let's consider the facts. Dr. Nchebe was legendary for his fish-eating habits. So probably one of the fish has already rotten. You go explain tire. Alternatively, perhaps Nurse Amarachi had simply gone for some experimental discussions with the good doctor. After all, what's a little fish smell between two medical professionals? They could have been concocting a new remedy involving the essence of tilapia for all we know. 9 months later, Otola. Please show some support by clicking the subscribe button, like, comment, and setting a notification for the next video. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Health Folklore.